back from the dead.
Hello everyone, so this is Copper here. I know it's been a very long time since my last video and I'm very excited to be back, and we're here with a banger today because I'm here to talk about my DSE journey. So this DSE, in case you're not from Hong Kong, you're wondering what it is, it's Hong Kong's public exam for the university undergraduate admissions. We take this exam at secondary 6, which is year 12 for Western standards, and for each subject you get a grade based on your performance. There's unattained till levels 1 till 5, and then 5-star is the equivalent of 6, and double stars is the equivalent of 7. So usually it varies for different subjects, but the percentage is like the top 1% for double stars, and then top 5%-ish for single stars, top 10%-ish for level 5, and so on. So for citizenship and social development, you're essentially just going for attained versus unattained, so a pass versus fail. So let's talk about my personal thoughts. At this point last year, I was already feeling quite busy. Well, I was already quite busy. We had a hectic schedule with a lot of tests, but I didn't quite feel the pressure of a public exam just yet. I was just mainly occupied with tests rather than full paper drilling. However, it really did start to come into me, like that pressure, especially after my Form 5 final exam, which is year 11. So the predicted grades based on results, just purely off the results, that's the one from school, by the way. Chinese 5 to 5-star, English 5-star, Math 5. I mean, I'm not going to read through every single one of them, but notice the colors that I've highlighted in it. And notice the colors of my highlights here. Chinese 5 to 5-star. I highlight in green because I know that's an overstatement of my performance. I know that the school overestimated me here. And for English and history, this is where I underperformed. So if you didn't know, like Chinese has always been my weakest subject. I'm just aiming for a pass or like a level 4, level 3. Whereas for like English, it's been relatively one of my better subjects, but also one of my relatively inconsistent ones. And then like BFS, which is a business accounting and financial studies, it's a subject where I'm relatively consistent, and I was always aiming for double stars, as well as chemistry. But yeah, history I underperformed. I was aiming for like 5-star minimum, but I only got 4 to 5, so that was disappointing. I didn't have enough time to revise for history. And so yeah, like you can see kind of my thoughts here. Like you see 2 subjects where I underperformed. That's when I started to panic, and that's when I started to take things more seriously. And it's still not as serious as study leave. Like I still do relax every so often because I still think relaxation is essential and pivotal to long-term success. But I did start planning my path for my desired subjects, and the reason why I have to start planning is that whether you can get admitted to your favorite subjects really depends on like your performance, your academic performance, and there are weightings for different sub-programs. I would more so interested in business, so they have a heavier weighting on English and math, so I have to ace those. And yeah, that's when I start setting these goals for myself. I set up a target grade for every single subject that I'll be taking in the DSE. And so does it go successful? We'll have to find out. And then we enter Form 6. Now our academic year starts every September, and at this point I was thinking, okay, I should start trying to sacrifice a bit more time with Chinese, because Chinese is one of those subjects where you have to recite a lot. And like the subject, like at this caliber, at this level, it's not really practical. It's more about literature, and so it's not really practical. It's not really conversational anymore. So like that's why even native speakers could fail Chinese very easily. And I knew I wasn't gonna make much progress, so I wanted to devote more of my time on subjects where I knew I actually had a chance of scoring high. And yeah, I pushed for more stars and into Form 6. like I saw some notable improvement in history, where originally I was just aiming 5 star, and then I kind of adjusted my goal to double stars because I was performing way more consistently than I expected in tests. And then BFS I also did very well. In fact, I got like full marks into some of the tests, but then there were some fluctuations and some let's just say not so satisfying moments, like with chem tests. Like, yeah, I didn't really do well in those in Form 6. I think like there were some stupid errors here and there. And the math, so I'll have to elaborate on this one a little more. I was losing confidence in math since Form 4, especially as I lost interest in it, because I myself, I'll tell you this, I became a lot more conservative throughout puberty, and I started to think to really value things that are practical, useful for a future job. But I think math wasn't really it. But then I thought, okay, I'll need math for business anyway, and so like I was starting to really put in the effort again, and then yeah, my grades were actually improving. So like originally I was like level 5 by in Form 5, but then there were some drastic improvements which really propelled me to improve. So yeah. So into the Form 6 mock, right? We have a mock exam. We had pre-mock exams, then mock exams, and then some post-mock practices, and then finally we'll take the DSE. So for my Form 6 mock, here are my grades based on my mock results. So Chinese is a level 4. That's fine. That meets my goal. And by the way, you could pause if you want to see those goals in greater detail. English, I got 5 star, which is below my goal, as you can see in the background here. Math, level 5, again, that's below my goal. CS attained, so yeah, I passed, so whatever. BFS, I achieved my goal in the mock. Chemistry, I mean, it's marginal, but I wouldn't want it to be marginal, so I took it as a red sign as well. And history, I did achieve my goal of getting double stars, for the mock anyway, not the real one. So you can still see that I'm still underperforming my goal. Now you might be thinking, is it just you being unrealistic? Well, maybe, but like I knew that for a lot of these cases I was close. And like with the DSE exam, you had like, you know, you're kind of told, and this was what I was brainwashed by. Like there's this notion that you have to push for your best performance in your lifetime. And so I was going for that. But yeah, you'll see that a lot of the times things don't go as well as you'd expect. Like there are some obstacles they cannot account for, and we'll get to more on that in a second. So okay, after the mock, there's obviously the post-mock period and study leave. So I was having a confidence crisis in math and chemistry because, as you can see, those two subjects were ones where I underperformed in. And then I also adjusted my goal in history to go for double stars because of my improvement in performance. But then of course I still reserve some time to relax because I still do think that you can't just go all out, or else you're gonna get burnt out, and that's not good for the long run. Because like the DSE, as we say, it's like a marathon. It's like a few month race, a very highly concentrated race, where you really need to devote a lot of your time for a long period. And if you get burnt out, then yeah, that's gonna hurt you in the long run, right? Because you have to be constantly studying without getting burnt out. So now time for a breakdown of the actual DSE. Okay, so now moving on to the actual DSE itself. What actually happened? So let's have a look here. So the first one is going to be English speaking. It was on March the 18th. It's way earlier than everything else. And I will tell you this. It was a disaster. So why do I say that? Well, I underperformed, but for a reason. So you see, we were supposed to have a group discussion with other candidates, and we're told that they usually try to make it so that the skill level of each candidate is different. Like there's a variation within our levels, and so there's usually going to be some strong candidates, some weaker candidates. And so at school, of course, I did a bunch of practice sessions, And we even had people trying to pretend to be weak candidates just so we could pretend how to just to try to invite them to conversation, right? Well, not only did I not get to invite anyone, people were talking over me. Like, seriously, I was trying to speak, and then, like, when I'm not even done talking, there are already like 2 to 3 of them trying to take over me, and like I just can't react fast enough to be able to take the initiative more often. So yeah, that's the main reason why I screwed up there. And so I think that for my English paper 4, now it won't be loads of like a bare pass, right? Because I've still got my SBA in which I did okay. That's gonna cover up some of my losses, but it's still not gonna look pretty on the report card eventually. I'm guessing a level 4 to 5. So yeah, English speaking, it was a disaster. I honestly felt like it was the end of the world. But yeah, I gotta give a huge shout out to my friend Tony here. He was really the main person that was giving me the mental support, like telling me, you still have a chance, you're still in this. And it was a really traumatizing experience indeed, but without him I wouldn't be feeling really the motivation to get back to studying again, considering, that's just the start, right? So after this, I had to go for some realistic adjustments. I realized double stars for English might not be doable anymore, so I felt like I had to push math. I felt even more compelled to push math to 5 star. And yeah, so with that, we get into the written exams. We start with Chinese, and yeah, part A, I feel like I've lost some marks. It's just reciting a bunch of old passages, ancient passages from like Tang Dynasty or whatever. Yeah, that part is okay. Part B, is reading comprehension, and I'll tell you that it's hella difficult. I tried to limit my losses by getting some basic marks, but then again, that's really just a wild card. Paper 2, Part A, kind of messed up. We weren't really that familiar with the text type, and like there were very little information given, so we have to write a practical writing. We had to comment about something, and unfortunately I wasn't that familiar with the text type, so I actually gave recommendations. I included some recommendations, although apparently it's not needed. But for paper 2 part B, it's the long writing. I'm feeling okay. So, oh yeah, if I forgot to mention, paper 1's reading, paper 2's writing for Chinese language. Overall, I'm feeling okay. Like paper 2 part A, the practical writing, the comment thing might have screwed me up a little bit, but I'm feeling like I can still get a pass. And then okay, English reading and writing. So paper 1's reading. Part A was relatively simple, but B2, they came up with something new. They managed to put 2 poems in there. And yeah, we haven't had many poems in English reading, not gonna lie. And like, there are some literary and figures of meanings behind those. And like, yeah, that's where it kind of got tough. Paper 2 writing, honestly, I'm feeling pretty decent. Like, I went pretty creative with my part B, especially the article. It was about like a lifelong dream as a doctor, like fulfilling your lifelong dream by resigning as a doctor, something like that. So yeah, that one I'm feeling pretty good. So for reading, I'm feeling like 5 to 5 star. Writing, I'm feeling double stars. But then of course you never know until you get the actual results. English listening. The day after, it's a Saturday. So for listening, you have part A, which is just pure listening comprehension. You just jot down whatever you hear. As for part B, it's integrated skills, where you're given a data file. Not only you have to listen, but you have to combine the data you're given with in order to complete some tasks, some so-called simple tasks, like having to write a report or whatever, based on the info. And yeah, part A was okay, but part B2, it was a rush, okay? I couldn't finish the whole thing. A lot of people couldn't finish it. I was missing the conclusion for my final task 10. It was a report or whatever. I couldn't come up with a conclusion on time. But I did put down every task completion point I could find, so I'm expecting some points lost for appropriacy and organization for task 10. And maybe some task completion points missing because of how rushed I was. like how much of a rush I was in. So yeah, overall I'm feeling 5-star for listening, and my overall grade for English, I think it's a 5-star. And then April 13th, math. I will say this, insomnia really screwed me up. You know, like, remember how I said I felt really compelled to push for math? Right? So I was really pressuring myself too much the night before, I feel like. So, like, even though, like, oh, you know, like, of course I had to go to bed early and all that so that you'd be in your best condition to deal with this important subject. Well, the more you think like this, the more you're gonna fail to do so. And that's exactly what happened. Paper 1, in my opinion, like, it's harder than paper 2, but it's still kind of easy. I messed up the questions about probability and had some miscalculations in the last question, question 19, which is the boss question. You have, like, 4 centers, so, like, in-center, ortho-center, that sort of thing. And with some, coordinates. And paper 2, it's all MCs. I could have gone 44 out of 45. But nope, insomnia really led me to misread things, so I only got 41. And overall, I feel like if it wasn't for insomnia, I could have really easily secured 5-star in this paper. But because of insomnia, I had so many careless mistakes that I'm feeling marginal. Like, it's either a marginal hit for 5-star or a marginal miss, and ending up getting level 5. Okay, citizenship and social development, as I said, it's just a pass or fail, and yeah, I'm feeling alright. Chemistry. Oh boy. This is my redemption. Chemistry, seriously. It's the one thing that's making me feel still somewhat decent about this whole DSE exam. So, it's a tough paper, but the tough paper is exactly the type I wanted. So, chemistry is like the perfect scenario. Like, I still had the pressure like math, but the difference is I managed to fall asleep. I managed to get like 8 to 9 hours of sleep, so I was in my prime condition, and that makes a huge difference. MCs, I've confirmed I got 34 out of 36, and then the rest of them, it really depends on the marking scheme and the keywords. But I did have a brief look at the suggested answers online, and most of them felt quite similar. Like, the figures were similar, the keywords were similar, so I'm feeling pretty good. And I will say this, it's easily my best performance in this entire DSE exam. And my predicted grade, honestly, I think I reached my goal. I'll be honest. Like, unless I get really unlucky with, like, the keywords and stuff. Because I am feeling good. And the cutoff is going to be low this year. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't think it'll exceed 90%. Because this year they made both papers really hard. It was a rush. Though, of course, I did manage to finish it, don't worry. I did manage to finish both papers. So yeah, that's one that I'm actually feeling good about. History. Now, history, I'm feeling decent, but yeah, some parts could have been improved. So, there was that one particular DBQ, question C, about socialism with Chinese characteristics. Of course, I know what that is, right? You know what that is on paper. If you're studying in Hong Kong and you don't even know what that is, then you're kind of cooked. But, yeah, of course I know what it is. But how do I elaborate on that? That's the question. So, like, that part, I think my elaboration might have gone a little bit off track. Like, it might not be exactly on point. And I'm also concerned about the first DBQ about Hong Kong's economic development in the early, early 20th century. Yeah. That one I'm also a little bit concerned. But everything else seemed fine. Like, my essay seemed fine. I went for questions 2 and 4, I think it was. Question 2 was about the late Qing reform in China. Question 4 was about World War II. Yeah, I think I went okay there. But yeah, history is hard to predict because of the subjectivity, the subjective nature of that subject. Like, it really depends on whether the marker thinks your elaboration is on point, so it's tough to predict. Like, my history results from tests and stuff have varied a lot as well. But I'm feeling 5-star to double stars, though not as steady as chemistry, of course, because there are so many variables in history. And finally, so what is supposedly my best subject, but I definitely screwed up, but not as bad as the other ones. It's BFS, Business Accounting and Financial Studies. Unfortunately, a repeat of math. Why do I say this? I got insomnia, and insomnia messed me up again. And the outcome is also really similar. Look, so insomnia was a massive nerve to my performance, and this year's paper was tough. But like chemistry, the chemistry paper, it was tough in a way that was advantageous for me. This time for BFS, it was tough in a way that was disadvantageous. Why? Because it involved obscure details that we didn't really cover at school, and like those are probably details that would be covered by like some obscure or random mock papers or whatever. So paper 1, MCs were disastrous. I missed like 5 to 6 MCs, no joke. And yeah, like I just felt like there were probably 1 to 2 careless among these 5 to 6, but the others, they're really just the obscure details. I had no idea. And then paper 2, everything just felt so more time consuming and tedious with all these extra steps. Like you have to go for like an entire statement. Like, paper 2 is all accounting, by the way. So like, those income statements, balance sheets, as you might call it. We call it the statement of financial position. Like those are coming up in like the first few questions, okay? And like that made things really tedious. It made it so that I was in a huge rush going into the later questions. And then I want to highlight some questions in paper 2, especially. Again, paper 2 is all accounting. Question 7. We were asked to deal with inventory for marginal costing, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that hasn't appeared with DSE past papers. I've only seen it in like a few questions in like maybe the exercises or like some obscure mocks out there. But DSE past papers, I don't think we've seen that. Like normally with marginal, what they do is that they said to include no inventory, and we're taught this in class as well. Just don't include inventory if you're dealing with marginal costing. Only show it for absorptional costing. But no, they're coming up with something new, and yeah, I was stuck. I really wasn't sure what to do, and I don't think what I came up with is correct. I've probably lost like 3 to 4 in question 7 out of like 10. I don't know. In question 8. So I was telling you guys I was in a rush already. I had like 15 minutes left when I finished the whole paper. Like I was kind of rushing, and so under this rush, and combined with the fact that I didn't get enough sleep, I slept for like maybe 5 hours the night before. This led to my fatal misread in question 8. Is that part where it stated like the depreciation of office equipment was omitted or like overstated or whatever. It's something like that. I misread that as if it was the depreciation of vans rather than the office equipment. So yeah, that obviously messed up my calculations a lot. And what's worse, I noticed it in the last 5 minutes because I was also spending some of that 15 minutes trying to figure out what question 7 was meant to be. And, because we didn't go in depth in that sort of inventory thing for marginal, yeah, I didn't have enough time to fix everything for question 8. I fixed everything till the capital account, but I couldn't fix things in the statement of financial position. So yeah, if you get to see my paper, somehow eventually you'll see that for the statement it's just a mess with the figures, but everything before that was fine because that's where I fixed things. So yeah, although the cutoff will be lower, that's for sure, I just don't know how much lower it'll be, and I'm not feeling good because these are just the mistakes that I've found. There might be ones that I haven't found under the time pressure and stuff. So I'm thinking this is a 5-star performance. I don't think I hit my goal of double stars, unfortunately. So yeah, here's a recap of my predicted results based on my actual performance in the DSE. So Chinese, I'm thinking level 3, English probably 5-star, math likely level 5, but it's marginal. CS, I'm passing probably. BFS, 5-star, but again, marginal. I could see a world with marginal double stars, but it's unlikely. Chemistry, I think I secured double stars, and history is 5-star to 5-star star. So the ones highlighted in red here are the ones where I would underperform my goal if I were to achieve these exact grades. Overall, as you can see, obviously an underperformance with all that red from the previous slide, but I still say I gave my everything. I tried my best. But yeah, one key takeaway is that there are so many factors out of your control that can hinder your exam performance. And so luck is definitely a factor you have to account for. Like at this time last year, if you told me this, I'd just be telling you to like shut up, or like you're just totally wrong. Like, how could luck be a factor in the skill-based exam, right? Well, no. As you can see, there are so many factors you just can't control. Like with my case, group mates for group discussion, English paper 4, insomnia before math and BFS. Like, these are just things that you can't really avoid, and these could absolutely destroy your chances at achieving your goal. And so, my advice, if you're taking the DSE next year, 2027 or beyond, do not expect your DSE performance to be your best academic performance in a lifetime. Looking back at my performance, I think I did better in my mock exams than in the actual DSE, which is unfortunate to say, but I think that is my current state of things. And so expect errors and unfavorable factors. Expect some headwinds, for sure. Like, don't expect all to be tailwinds. Even if you stay really hard, there's still a chance that you get messed up by something. Right? Like, don't expect that, oh, I'm gonna study really hard during study leave, and then I'm gonna push my grades up, like, an entire grade better than before. Well, just a night of insomnia could effectively negate all your efforts, so yeah. And mentality-wise, it's really important to treat it like any usual exam. That's kind of what I learned as I went into the later subjects, especially, like, the first written exam, which was Chinese. I was feeling really nervous. I couldn't fall asleep either. But it wasn't as bad as math and BFS. So yeah, that's about it for my sharing about the DSE. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And yeah, if you've got any more questions about my DSE journey and all that, please don't hesitate to contact me. Leave a comment down below, tell me your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.